Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Duke, joined today with our international correspondent, Alex Newman. You and I have spent a lot of time criticizing this unconstitutional federal industrial complex that's taken over education. And one of the hardest things we've had to be able to demonstrate to moms and dads out there is just how data gathering works. It's one of those shadowy things that parents aren't aware of. It's not like you could print out handfuls of data trading sheets, that kind of stuff. But now we really do have a serious example of this with the College Board. Talk a little bit about the story.
Yeah, thank you, Duke. So a lawsuit was just filed now against the College Board, which is, of course, the organization that controls the SAT, which most college students take to get into college these days. And they got caught illegally, apparently, harvesting students' data. They gave out, a survey that you were welcome to fill out to help you get into college. So they're gathering all this data on your religious views, your political views, your race, your gender, your grades, your income, your home address, all this very sensitive personal data. And then they got caught selling it for about 42 cents to 47 cents per student to all kinds of third parties in total violation of multiple state and federal laws. And so there's a lawsuit now, but it's just the tip of the iceberg with this, Duke. You and I both know it. The feds have been scooping up all this data. They're making it available to everyone. Google's been involved in this. And our children and their data have now just become commodities for these major corporations, for the central planners within the government. And it's grotesque.
Well, you and I have warned people a lot that who's the president of the College Boards? David Coleman. David Coleman was in charge of the Common Core Committee in Washington, D.C. under the Obama administration. The level of corruption that goes back to the Obama administration with this is pretty shocking, that somebody with no real educational credential, David Coleman, could oversee the creating of what has become a federal paradigm for education, and then get in charge of the college boards who are supposedly giving the tests that allow our kids to get into colleges, and now they're selling our data. And so we're talking about hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars of revenue they're raising off our kids. Talk about the lawsuit. Where is the lawsuit originating from? And how might moms and dads in other states, how might American moms and dads help participate in this lawsuit against the federal government?
Yeah, so this is a lawsuit right now filed on behalf of a child in the Illinois public school system, on behalf of the parents who are, of course, concerned about their child's data being sold. But they're trying to get now national class action status so that people from across America can join. They estimate that about 5 million victims have been affected here, and they want people everywhere to come forward and to join this. We'll have to see. They've alleged that numerous statutes were violated here by the College Board. And keep in mind, this group calls itself a nonprofit organization, and yet they're pulling down $1 billion a year in revenues. They're paying their these huge salaries to these overpaid, bloated executives. The president's making, I think, $1.5 million a year, they said. So, that's quite a nonprofit job if you can get it. But, absolutely, moms, dads, if your child's data was sold illegally by these people, if you have reason to suspect that it was, I highly recommend that you get in touch with these attorneys, with this law office. I think it's called Lovey and Lovey. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but we've got it in the story. Get in touch with this law office, join the lawsuit. And, I'm never a big fan of, lawyers that, just want to grub for money and things like that. But it's not right that these major international corporations in bed with the government are stealing and harvesting all this data from our children and then using it for nefarious purposes. And you're right. David Coleman from Common Core has been one of the main Dr. Evils involved in this whole thing. Common Core is only partly national standards. The other part, as you know very well, Duke, is gathering all this data to help the government decide things for your children. We've got to put a stop to it. And one of the ways that you can do that is by hitting them where it hurts, and that is the pocketbook.
Talk quickly about the survey. How did they get this information from kids? But they trumped up a survey that the kids had to take on their computers. Explain that for mom and dad.
Yeah, so they basically deceived parents and children. They told them that taking this survey would somehow help them get into college or get into university. They ask all these really sensitive questions, and they tell them that, hey, this is going to help you to get into college. And then what really was happening was the College Board was taking all this data that they were harvesting from these poor naive children who didn't realize their data, and parents, of course, who didn't realize this data was then going to be traded and sold to pretty much whoever wanted it. So, false pretenses to gather this data. data. And even in their own policies, they say they might license the data to other people, but really what they were doing here was just selling it. And who knows what purposes this data has now been used for and abused. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It is really sad. One of the sad aspects of what we do, Alex, is we sit there and watch that which we said was going to happen, and it's much more difficult, almost impossible this day and age, to change the public schools. But this lawsuit is a serious thing. To call the College Board to account for the way they have deceived families, deceived kids into taking these surveys, and exploited their personal private information for filthy lucre, right, for their own profit. That's something we can get behind with this law firm, and moms and dads across the country need to be aware of that.
Absolutely, Duke. And I hope parents and it's not just a College Board. I hope parents all across America will realize this is just the little tip of the iceberg. Everywhere now, they are harvesting your children's data on social media, in the schools. Google's giving out these G-books and whatever. YouTube is doing it. The federal government is doing it. Now they want to, share it with the international things like UNESCO. Parents, you have got to get this under control. You've got to protect your children. Your children don't realize this. They're not capable of protecting themselves. It's on you, Mom and Dad. If you don't protect your children and their privacy and their data, nobody else is going to do it.